Welcome back to Spoiler Alert. We have thoughts. We have our first guest. Although it's only me today, I thought, well, may as well have a familiar face from Real to Trill. He is probably an OG of film locations. Everywhere he goes, he knows there's a film that's been located there. But the first thing I want to say, how many films did you watch last year?
About 380, roughly, give or take.
God's sake. You got any like your favourites that were like just stuck out to you that year?
Uh, oh God, it's almost like mashed into one. Because I watch a mixture of like old films, new films, rewatch certain films. So I include everything. But in terms of new ones, there was nothing that really stuck out. Obviously, June 2 was pretty good. I was looking forward to that one. But yeah, I can't really think of any that really stuck out last year for me. But there's a lot of films I didn't see when I should have seen that came out last year. I barely hit the cinemas, I think, unfortunately, last year. It was mainly like Blu-rays and things I'd recorded off TV that
So
was
that
like
physical
focused on.
media.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all about the physical media. Love it. I do stream though, like I do stream like a lot, yeah, like Netflix and stuff, but I prefer the actual physical media myself. I'm a collector.
Um, I was going to start it off with what inspired you to start film locations.
I've always been into films since I was a wee man, and I used to just watch everything and anything, mainly action because that's what I grew up on. In the 80s, we used to watch. My dad used to like let me watch whatever, so I used to watch things like Rambo and like Rocky and all these things as a wee man. So all those things kind of fascinated me. And I'm not actually born here, I was born in East Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have TV channels there. We had one TV channel that started at 7 o'clock at night. It showed one cartoon
Right.
and then it just showed local programs. So TV wasn't really a thing. We didn't even have a TV in our house. We used to go to our neighbors to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So so what used to happen was that when we did sit down to watch TV, they would get people from the UK to record stuff on a VHS and send it over. And that's what we tend to watch. And because you only had like one or two VHSs, whatever you got, you just watched loads and loads of it, right? So that's why I kind of got into film. But literally, it was very random in the early days. Whatever came our way, we just watched it. Um, so yeah, things like Star Wars, we saw Flash Gordon, we had a VHS of. Um, we watched that on loop. And then we used to watch a lot of kung fu films. So I used to just love action films,
Mm-hmm.
growing up. So kind of at school, that's kind of what I continued with for ages and ages. And just, like the big names that were coming out, you sort of watched any Arnie film, any Sly film, or anything with remote like violence. I was all over it, and a bit of horror as well. So fast forward to 1999, I went to New York for the first time with two of my besties, and New York's the kind of place like basically, if you've not been to New York and you go there, it just feels well familiar because of all the films that it's been in
Right.
and used in. You're kind of like, oh, that's from this film, that's from that film. And I kind of like really started enjoying that part of it, just going, oh God, this is from this film, and just seeing it, I mean, in front of me. So it just kind of happened naturally that way. And then we were in Chicago in the same trip. And we flew from New York to Chicago for a few days. And one of our trains got cancelled, and we had a bit of time to wait for the second one. It was about 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, do you know what? I think the Untouchables was shot here. So we walked around and we asked one of the guys that worked there. It's like, oh, do you know where the staircase is for the Untouchables? And so he pointed us to the place. So we actually went along, and that was like I would say my first proper location that I like actually looked for. And then we pretended to fall down the stairs and all this stuff. And we took a photo, but back then in '99, I had a disposable camera, so it's like a blurry photo of a set of stairs with us pretending to fall down it. It was all pre-social media, things before those days, so we weren't really bothered about trying to get a screen accurate photo.
Aye.
We were just happy to see it. And then gradually I started to do more and more of it wherever I was going. And then thanks to the internet, like now everywhere I go, I can just look it up and go, oh, actually, what was filmed in this area, what was filmed in that area. So I kind of double it up, and that's how I got into it.
See when you went to see that specific staircase for the Untouchables, what was that feeling like? Were you like, oh my god, this is so cool?
Yeah, totally. Because you're kind of like rethinking that scene in your head straight away. You're like, oh, it's this bit where, the pram's falling down the steps. Andy Garcia is like at the bottom of the stairs, and Kevin Costner's like blasting everyone along the stairs. And you sort of like seeing it and you think, oh, Kevin Costner like stood on this bit, or Andy Garcia was at this bit, that type of thing. So you kind of get we buzz off like just seeing it in the flesh. So that's what was really good for me, and I think that's the part I still enjoy, actually seeing what it looks like when I'm there, and see how much of it still looks like what it does in the movie,
Aye.
which doesn't always happen, as we know. But we can come to that after. But sometimes when it is exactly looks the same as it was in the movie, that's amazing.
But this has got to be my other question because me and you have
Mhm.
kind of done one. We're like, is this the location? When me and you went to the pub at Trongate for train spotting,
That's right, yeah.
do you have any ones that are challenging that were like you don't know if this
Well,
was the location or that?
I haven't actually released that one yet. Those photos.
Spoil that.
The reason for that is because of because I actually want to do a whole thing for train spotting. I want to get every single location possible for that, and I'm missing a couple, as you know, because we're needing to do that other trip up north.
Aye,
Mind,
when they do it.
yeah, we need to do it. Because once we've got that one and a couple of other ones, I'm trying to still find, and then I want to do a complete train spotting one because I've got a lot of them already, but there's still a few. There's just about 4 or 5 that I think we need, and then I'll drop it all as a compilation. But yeah, back to your question though, is there any that are completely different? Or well, sorry, firstly back to what you're saying about that location. I actually looked on the extras not that long ago for train spotting, and on the extras there's a scene where they're actually building that pub,
Oh really?
and when you see it, you're like, that's the same one.
You need to send me this
That's
because like I want to go back to that pub and tell the barmaid because she was saying it wasn't that location. What
yeah,
it was.
it was because like there's also like production notes that have stated that it's that pub. But I'll find the clip on the extras. There's a wee documentary, I think, and in that documentary they're talking about making parts of the sets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene that they're building in that pub. So that's when I was like, ah. I mean, it still looks a bit different to what it did in the movie,
Aye.
but it was there's definitely bits that they shot that we can match in that point. I was like, ah. But it's very tiny, tiny little clip, but it's there for sure. So yeah, when I post it, I don't think many people, probably maybe people will try and contest it. I don't know. Come at me, bro.
I mean, it
So
could open up because I mind me and you were when we first done that location. There wasn't a lot of research for the for context. The scene we're talking about is when Big Bay he stabs. There's no stab the English guy or like glasses
yeah,
guy
yeah,
when they've
that's
got
right.
the money in the
They've got the
bag.
money and everything, and already got the money. They're on the home street. They're like they all just need to have a drink and then leave. And then Begbie kicks off at that point, and it was that moment
Mm-hmm.
at that pub. The one I need to find is the pub where they robbed the American guy. I think it's meant to be in Edinburgh because they talk about the Fringe,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know where they've shot that. And I thought it was that pub that we went to for the location from Succession,
Aye.
but it wasn't.
Can't remember what that pub's called now.
Is it Finis? No, it's not Finiston, but
Aye, because
yeah, yeah,
that's been filmed with quite a good few movies and shows now.
yeah. And I saw the Still Game episode as well. I think I texted you about it. I was like,
Aye,
oh, that still game is like showing it in there. And I was like, oh, we need to go back.
aye, and then there was
Mm.
one of the army sign up adverts, and I seen like a very very small clip of that location. I was like, that's a Lauriston.
Ah, yeah. We need to go back, get a pie, and then get those other locations.
Aye, definitely.
Other hot pies.
One of my other questions was is there any locations you've seen like in a film and like that location's no there anywhere and you're like, oh man, I wish I kind of came here a bit sooner than later.
Well, yeah, there was one recently actually. There's a movie called Silver Bullet. It's a Stephen King one,
Hmm.
and there's loads of locations of that. But there's a particular bridge that they have at the end of the film, and I just found out that that's been demolished after all these years. So that's quite sad. But there's loads of locations that are like no longer there. I think there's actually quite a few in LA that were kind of lost recently in the fires,
Oh really?
which people are talking about. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head which ones specifically, but yeah, there was a lot of good LA locations that I hadn't done
Hmm.
that got burnt in the fire, which is an absolute shame. Because
That's surprising.
yeah, and that's why you think, oh man, I need like if you think about you wanting to go somewhere and see it, just do it as soon as.
Hmm.
Because especially in America, um, there's no such thing as real conservation laws like we have in Scotland, where in Scotland we've got to kind of keep certain buildings and things.
Hmm.
But in States, they don't care. They'll just tear things down. Like they don't care if it's like being in a film. If someone's paying money for it, they'll just tear it down and put up with it whatever they want.
Aye, because one of the ones I was thinking, we're going back to transporting again, is it the Volcano pub bar where Renton meets
Yeah, yeah,
Thing me?
Diane.
Aye, Diane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that actually went really early doors. I think it was like maybe a year or two after Trainspotting was out. Yeah, I think that went super, super quick, unfortunately. I had no chance of getting that one.
Was there any
Yeah.
ones that were like, so let's say, so I'll restart again. Is there any ones that are like you go to a location and it was like bang on the exact same as what it was in the film?
Yeah, yeah, loads. I mean, for instance, like there's certain things where, like mountains and things, they don't change.
Hmm.
So they're like spot on. So I did the Skyfall one, and like we it was like exactly as is. And on my page, it's one of my pinned posts. So like folk can see like that we matched it pretty well to what it's like in the movie. That was an easy one, and you use all these things like rocks and bridges and trees and all that to sort of match it up. But yeah, there's tons of good locations, and obviously the stairs from Trainspotting as well. And
Aye,
when
that's
Ian
never
McGregor's running down them, that's never going to change. Um, but there's sometimes you get lucky with these locations. And sometimes you're unlucky. For instance, I was in one of the times in I think it was 2013. I was in New York, and I went to find there's a scene in Scarface. They do a couple of scenes in New York, but it's only a tiny amount. But there's one scene where he's in a phone box and he's ringing back to the house to find where Manny is,
hmm.
and he's like at a helicopter pad next to the bridge. So I went and I had to go down these stairs, like they were kind of like almost there was a big fence and all that stuff. But I got in and I got the photo of like quite a bit of it. Um, but then I think I found out that since all that's been they've got rid of, they've got flats in front of that bit.
Hmm.
It's all been completely changed up. Whereas like when I was there, they still had the Pan Am helicopter building,
Right.
this tiny little building, and so like yeah. So I got lucky there. But there's been tons of times I've been really unlucky where you just go there and it's like completely gone, and you're just like, oh, what's the point?
Can't mind if it was you. It sent me it. I think I seen it on YouTube as well. I remember. I think it was you. It was the motel in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles has never changed, and it looks the exact same till this day.
Aye, aye. Yeah, and it's that it's that wall. It's got like a certain type of
Hmm.
brickwork on the wall. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Actually, a few of my friends that are overseas, so through this thing, there's a community of folk that are just as nerdy as I am about these location things, and I get chatting to a few of them, and there's one guy, all things 80s with Garrett. He did those locations for Planes, Trains, and yeah, I mind seeing that. I was like, wow, that's another trip we've got to do.
That's the one I would love to do. Anything with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, of
Yeah,
course. I've got to do it, man.
aye, 'cause you got to get the street where they're walking down together with a
With
trunk.
the trunk, aye.
Yeah. What other ones would be your key ones for that?
Oh, it's got to be the motel. Um,
Uh-huh.
what else was there? I'm trying to think. What other ones are iconic? But
What about where the woman's working in the car rental place?
oh, aye, when he's saying all the f words,
Ah,
aye,
exactly.
that's definitely got to change. That's got to be renovated by now, like about 3 times.
Well, here's the thing though, some of these things can be in the studio, so it's like that's the other part is like, all right, what was actually just shot in a studio and what was an actual place?
Aye.
And so it is that's the fun part, trying to track these things down. And it's obviously a lot easier now because so many people put things online.
Hmm.
So you can see exactly what it looks like now and where it is and get more information. But places as big as America, like trying to find things is sometimes like a needle in a haystack. And because we're not familiar with it, it's like, all right, that could be anywhere. Especially because they shoot all over the place. Like for instance, Dexter is meant to be set in Miami. They only do like external scenes in Miami. The
Hmm.
rest of it's all shot in LA.
Aye.
I mean, so you're thinking, oh, I'm in Miami, and it's like, no, that street or whatever, it's in LA actually.
I mean, have you know, we're kind of getting more um film stuff here because we've had what Fast and Furious, The Flash. We've also had well,
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, Batgirl. If it actually got released, that would have been a big one.
Yeah, and then we had Cloud Atlas as well.
Hmm.
World War Z, as the Americans call it.
Indiana Jones as well.
Indiana Jones, yeah. There's been tons of stuff coming here now. I
Hmm.
think Scotland learned from the early days that they messed up with Braveheart
You think?
because because like they wanted to shoot Braveheart in Scotland, but they weren't getting the tax breaks.
Right.
So basically, they were the production lot were like, oh, well, we'll just go to Ireland. Like it's cheaper for us to shoot there instead.
Hmm.
So they shot a couple of things in Scotland, but very little. And then the rest of it's all kind of shot in Ireland. And then Scotland's like, I guess, like the film companies here and all that, they were probably kicking themselves because it could have been featured. Those like places could have featured,
Hmm.
and would have brought even more tourism.
Aye.
So I think the tax breaks and things got a bit easier. And then I think the biggest like film I think was like World War Z because that was pure like Hollywood. They shut off streets. I don't know if you remember it, but whole like George Square was completely shut off. They transformed it to look like Philly,
Aye.
and
We
it was the opening scene of the film.
aye, because I remember I was in primary six, and I remember at the time there was a lot of people could audition to be a zombie at the time, and I think one of
Yeah,
the
because it was in Glasgow. Because it was in Glasgow, they didn't need much makeup either, because they kind of mostly look like zombies over
aye,
there.
that's pretty much aye. I mean, if you stay in Poso or Govan, and the majority you're getting that role.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It was like this is perfect.
aye, what was because even Edinburgh, because you just kind of go Um, Obviously, you just had Fast and Furious as well. You've got
Aye.
Baby Reindeer as well, although that's kind of based on a true story, kind of. But
Yeah,
you got that,
that was only like two scenes at best, 2 or 3 scenes at best. They were like outdoor ones, but yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a bit of production. There was another one actually. There was another series that they shot here as well on Netflix. Is it One Time or something like that?
right?
It was a total lovey-dovey thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not interested, but like it was pretty big on Netflix though,
Aye, because there was a
and they
few.
shot a lot of that here.
There was a few that I seen and I can't remember off the top of my head.
There's another one actually. It was again, you sometimes don't even hear about stuff getting filmed. There was another one, The Jacket, which was a Keira Knightley and Adrian Brody.
Right.
They filmed that out here in some like old disused hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and they filmed that not too far. That was a while back. But one time when I was working on George Street, there's a Masons Hall there in George Street. I was walking past,
Right.
and Stephen Graham was stood outside having a tab, just like in a full costume. I was like, what? Like, he's just there chilling. And it turns out they were filming for something about Winston Churchill, and they were using that hall. And again, we had no idea because all the filming was on side. There was no big trucks outside to indicate that there was any shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Just Stephen Graham stood there having a tab.
Oh my god, that's cool. I had
Yeah.
once similar was when they were filming Still Game the last season I think it was.
Uh-huh.
Remember the scene they're all obsessed with the butchers.
Oh, aye, aye.
So that's actually up at Castlemilkway, and the only reason why I found it out was it was on some guy's Snapchat, and I was like, that's running by my pal stage. I'm gonna go up there and see what it's like. And like they were
Did you catch
filming.
any of it?
I think I've still got pictures. So I was standing next to like their dressing room, not knowing this was their dressing room. So Greg Hempo and that came out, and I was like, oh my god, there's Jack and Victor and there's Winston and all that. But that was
You're
like
in there. Were they actually in the costume as well?
full in costume,
Oh
literally
man.
acting. So it was like weird to see. And then there was like this old guy, like I don't know how he done it, but he managed to walk past security and go in front of the camera. So they were filming it outside the window, and you just see this old
Sorry.
guy like what's going on here, kind of thing.
Like, well, you're not gonna mess with him, are you? Like, to
Uh,
be fair, as a
so
local and he's an old boy.
so I think that's my first kind of filming experience, seeing that like, and then also the location when it first came out. I was like, oh, there's Castlemilk,
That
seeing that
that
no
it is.
gander.
It's quite weird as well when it's a place you already know and then you see it on film.
Aye,
I find because it almost like like I know that so well.
aye,
It's like similar like Baby Reindeer when it cuts to the scene in Edinburgh and you're like, oh, I know exactly all these places are. They're like all round by. There's the tunnel by Advocates Close, and it comes out on, and he walks onto the Royal Mile. But the way they've done it, the way they've cut it, it's actually quite weird because in reality, it doesn't make sense the way he's walking along that street.
aye.
Um, but again, when you watch it, like, it's still quite cool seeing it all. Same with like Fast and Furious when they do the big chase through town,
Mm-hmm.
like they're jumping from one street to a completely random street, and like geographically, it doesn't work, but
It's
obviously film movie magic and it cuts like obviously you and I know the score because we know the area, but anyone watching it on the movies are just like, all right, it's just another street. Whereas we're like, "Ah, how can you go from like Chambers Street through to George Street? Doesn't happen."
like he's done it with Hobbs and Shaw, and it was like you can tell it's Glasgow in some parts, and then it cuts to like another scene they're in London. I'm like, that's not in the tune.
Aye.
Like, where's this?
Is it when they cut through Merchant City? They
Aye,
cut through Merchant City, the arches in Merchant City, and I was
aye,
like,
and then it's like to George Square, and then they do
aye.
some weird thing, and then they're back, they're doing a U-turn. It's like, what? Oh, this doesn't make
Yeah, and
sense.
then, but what is the best bit about that end of that chase when Idris Elba, I think he goes through a double decker bus and then he gets up. And as he gets up, there's like that Greg's in the corner in the
Aye,
background.
that's my
And they
favorite
never,
part. It's like you see the Gregs.
you like, iconic.
But I even like because you see the pinkness of the people make Glasgow sign, and they've just censored it like people make Glasgow. I was
Aye.
like, I see what you've done there.
There's another. I haven't watched Cloud Atlas yet. I need to see that, but they shot that literally like the street next to. I used to work for uh, Scottish Screen, which then became Creative Scotland. But it was the filming side of things.
Hmm.
It was in that office. I worked in accounts, so nothing like filming wise, but still worked for the company that does locations and things for people coming to Edinburgh or Scotland. And finding out afterwards that Halle Berry was literally around the corner, I was actually raging.
Aye,
Raging. You know, Halle Berry, Tom Hanks, Keith David was also there. So, and you're like, my God, how could I have missed this? You know what I mean?
that's actually unreal.
And and then even found out like after it all happened, but the fact that they shot the start of Dark Knight Rises with the airplane
Hmm.
near Aberdeen. And one of the guys I work with, he was like part of that whole location thing to make it happen.
Hmm.
It was his like he worked for the department that found the location and stuff, so he was there when they filmed all that. Do you know the bit I mean at the start of Dark Knight Rises
I
with
would.
Bane on the air?
Um.
I'm still to watch Game of Thrones. Remember?
Oh, I can't mean
Well, speaking of which,
he was
I'll see if I
in
can pull it up.
he was in Peaky Blinders as well.
All right.
I still not
Oh
sure if
yeah,
you.
Killian Murphy.
No, it was like he was like in season three. He was a part of Adrian Brody's kind of story. He was like another gypsy.
Oh, right.
Can't
I
remember
see.
his
See.
name.
I'll probably recognize and see. I've only watched Dark Knight Rises once. Um, like I've seen it in the cinema. I've not actually rewatched it. I do need to. I actually quite enjoyed it. Like it's not the best of the trilogy, but
It's
it's
definitely
got some good.
the boat mate.
Aye, but it's got some good bits in it. I thought.
When Tom Hardy's in it, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. You really can't understand a word, but
Aye.
he's pretty funny though.
I was going
I
to say
mean,
was what's one of the locations that's still on your list that you really want to do?
oh geez, I've got 1,000,000,000 ones. I need to go back to New York. I need to redo some of the French Connection stuff again. I need to do the Godfather house, which is on Staten Island.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one in
That's as well. That's another one on the list.
that one
Like
would be
all the Italy locations, like the house where he goes to shoot Don Chichi. That's I've seen some folk get that one, and I'm like, oh, that's another one I need to get. But no, their actual the family home that's in Staten Island. Like that's the location I need to do big time. God, there's loads. There's like Friday the 13th, the first one, like Camp Crystal Lake. That's high up there. There's a film called Juice, a two-pack film. It's if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's amazing.
I think I've heard it.
This is like one of like it's an amazing film. But all the locations of that I need to do because yeah, that was a great film. I need to do Boys in the Hood. That's really high on the list.
I'm surprised you don't have Boys in the Hood. I thought that'd be like one of the ones you'd have got done and dusted.
Well, I went to LA and I was only there for a week and I was trying to get as many as I could, as well as try and have a holiday as well.
Hmm.
But there was a day where I did a tour of all the hoods of like LA. So it was like an organized tour where you get taken in a car and then they take you to all the different like dodgy hoods like Compton, Crenshaw, like Southside, all these places.
Hmm.
And as well as getting a tour of all the hoods, they kind of stop off in different film locations. And kind of the packaging sort of went through a list of potential films, and it had Boys in the Hood in it, and it had Friday in it, and I was like, brilliant! They're like two on my list: The House from Friday, that whole street from Boys in the Hood. I think jobs are good. So we drive about. The guy does a tour, and we hit a few locations, but we never hit those ones. And I was like, mate, when do we do those locations? And he goes, oh, I didn't realize you wanted to go. We've already gone past all those places. And I was like, oh, you're
No.
kidding. And he goes, oh, if I'd known that there was any like specific ones, then I would have stopped off at that. I was like, oh, I just thought it was all included in the tour. So he's like, no, we just like drive about and show you our routes. But yeah, if you wanted somewhere specific that you sort of say at the start, I was like, all right. So I'm gonna have to go back for those ones. But the locations we did do were from, one of them was from White Men Can't Jump, and there's one from Ricochet, which is a Denzel Washington film. Again, if you've not seen it, get that on the watch list as well. It's Denzel Washington and John Lithgow.
That's I know the
John
casting.
Lithgow, John Lithgow's a bad guy in it, and he, as you know from Cliffhanger, he's a great bad guy.
Oh, I was going to say when he was in, is it Blue Velvet with John Travolta?
No, Blowout. You're thinking of?
Aye, sorry, Blowout. Aye, that one.
Yeah, yeah, Blowout. Yeah, nah, he's brilliant. Yeah, check out very early day.
Was this when he was like
What else?
kind of famous?
He was on the cusp. Like he was just starting to kind of
Hmm.
get those leads. Um, the other locations we did was one from Menace to Society. We did where one of the guys he's going through an American chain called Jack in the Box,
Right.
and he's in the car waiting there. And this other guy, one of the main guys in the movie, comes in to rob him of his jewelry and all this stuff. It's quite a famous scene, but we saw that one.
Hmm.
Um, we saw a location from Rush Hour 2. There's like a Chinese restaurant that they go into in Rush Hour 2. So we just drove past it. We didn't actually get out for that one.
Hmm.
Where else did we see? Oh, aye, and of course, Training Day as well.
I was going
So
to
the
say.
cul-de-sac from Training Day, we stopped off in there as well. And that's a really like scary neighborhood. And then I was watching something about the filming of it. And apparently they had to like pay gang members money, and then they stood there because they were like, "What are we gonna get if you film here?" So they're like, "Right." So they had to pay all these gang
Aye.
members and get them to be in the film,
Oh my god.
watching over when they're coming into the car and all that stuff. That scene,
Surely
but it
that's
was
better
dodgy. Like,
than their security. If, like, you know what I mean?
uh, well, some of the areas were well sketchy, well sketchy. It was cool, like, but yeah, I'll know for next time that I need to go and actually say I want to do these locations.
Aye.
I mean, but yeah, places like LA and New York are an absolute dream, or and Chicago as well. Total dream for anyone that's into movies and movie locations. There's just so much out there. It will actually blow your mind. Because like one time this is one of the times I was kicking myself. I was in an area called Abbot Kinney, which is in like Venice, near Venice Beach and all that.
Hmm.
Uh, I got a munch and stuff at this place, and I came out and I was like, I'll just order this Uber. And ordered this Uber, went back to my hotel, and I'd been walking about the whole day, so I was pretty knackered. So I went back to the hotel. I left LA and came back home, and I was like just doing research on things. And I started watching the original Assault on Precinct 13, the John Carpenter film.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's a great one, like that police station. Wonder where that is. And I realized I was like less than like 100 meters
Oh
from
my
where that
god.
location was. And I had no clue that's where my Uber picked me up. And I completely missed it.
Oh man.
Absolutely livid. Absolutely. But in fairness, the way it looked in that film was completely different because there was nothing in that area back when they filmed it originally. Like when I was there, it was all like it was like an Art Deco place, and it's got loads of like roads and streets and people and all that around it. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally missed that one. So I was gutted, absolutely gutted. I
Sounds
need to
like.
go back to that.
Was there no another one? I feel like you told me another one. Like you were near. Um, I can't remember where it was because I remember you talking about it maybe like ages and ages ago.
Well, I was near it and then I missed it.
I feel like there was another one, but I can't really remember.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's been loads, absolutely loads. Yeah, but sometimes, like I said, sometimes you get lucky, and then sometimes it's the other way around.
Aye.
And then sometimes you just run out of time as well because you're like, oh, I want to do all these things, and they're sort of close to each other, but like not close enough because I've got to go back and go somewhere else. So sometimes you've got to let some go and hope to get back there.
Have you got any like mental stories when you were trying to get to a film location?
Um, Thankfully, most of them have been okay, but the most kind of crazy one that I'll not forget was um, in 2023. While I was in New York, decided to go to Philly for the day because I was like, I need to get the Rocky locations, and I was talking to one of my pals that's from Philly but lives over here now.
Mm-hmm.
And before I went, I was like, "Oh, Eric, I'm planning to go Philly." Eric's like, "If you're gonna go and do the Rocky locations, like, be careful because it's pretty shady over there." It's like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Just go on YouTube and Google Kensington zombies." Eh?
What?
What are you on about? So I log in, search it up on YouTube, and it was like just people filming. There's someone filming just the people in that area, right? And it's got the highest, I think, problem of opioids in the States. It's totally messed up.
Is it
And
like Skid Row?
yeah, but just everywhere. And people look like they're dead, and then they suddenly like move, but they all look like zombies. But I was like, it can't be that bad. Like, if someone's just like filming the worst of it
Mm-hmm.
and just putting it on YouTube. Anyway, so I get to Philly, come out the train station. There's a row of taxis, and there's a person at the front, like a kind of police person, that sort of also was coordinating the taxis. And she's like, "Where do you want to go?" I was like, "Oh, I want to go to like this address." And she goes, "In Kensington." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why? Do you want to buy drugs?" I was like, "No, I want to go to Rocky locations." And she's like, "You'll be hard pressed to find someone that will take you there." It's like, "Aye, whatever." Right, row of taxis. I go to the first one. I mentioned, "Oh, can I go to this address in Kensington?" He's like, "No, I'm not going there." I say, "What?" It's like, "No, I'm not going there." Second guy, "No, I'm not going there." I was like, "How hard could it be?" Third guy, he was an Indian guy. So I was like, "Right, I'll kick it to him in our language, right?" So I win him over. So I tell him, "Look, I want to go to this address, but like, did he stop the car? I'll get out. I'll take the shots that I need, and then we're gonna go to a bunch of other like locations, and then that way, like, you'll get a bigger fare as well." So he's like, "Cool, I'm up for that." So I get in the car, and then we start to creep into this area, and literally, I started seeing the zombies in it. Like everyone boxed out their nut all over the pavements. Like it was brutal, absolutely brutal, and it stank as well. I was like, "Nah, I've got to be careful here." And then I'm looking and looking and thinking, I'll see the Rocky Street any second. And almost like we had the route he took, it was like blink and we were actually in the street already. And I was like, "Oh, hang on, we're already here." So I was like, "Right, I'll get him to stop." So he stopped right there. I got out. There was across the road from the Rocky House, it was a bunch of guys, all like clearly had guns on them.
Mhm.
Like you, you could see that it wasn't even subtle; it was all hanging out, right? Then across the other side, so like say if where Rocky comes out the steps,
Mhm.
if he was to face opposite him, that's where a lot of cars would just park on this little bit of grassy bit.
Aye.
And in between two cars, there was a guy sat down on the ground, just watching everyone and everything on his own, just in between two cars. I was like, this is sketch. I can't stick around here too long. And everyone was watching me because I was on my own as well.
Aye.
So I was like, right, get your photos, get the hell out of Dodge ASAP. So I think I must have spent like 30 seconds there. I took like maybe 3 photos
Aye.
quickly. Got in the car, I was like, right, bolt, mate. Just keep going.
God,
And
no.
again, I'm gutted because like there was another in that at the other end of that street. It's where Frank Stallone and the guys with the oil drum
Mhm.
were stood. And I saw it, but I was like, nah, I've not got time to stop here. Like, just keep it going. So we just went and hit the next spot, which is where the gym is.
I was going to ask that. Did you get Mickey's
And
gym?
I got the gym. I got the what used to be the pet shop, which was actually knocked down. That building was knocked down for ages, and
Mhm.
then when I got there, they'd built something else up. So it's not the original building, but it's where the shop was.
Aye.
And you can it is a shop because like from in the movie when you're looking at the shop, you can see certain sections of Mickey's gym
Mhm.
in the background. And then on the other side of the entrance, opposite Mickey's gym, they've got the bar that the one Tommy Gunn comes out or when he fights Rocky outside the bar
Aye.
in Rocky Five. So that's exactly across the road. So that's totally nearby as well. So I got that location. And again, I just told my man in the taxi, just keep it running. Got the quick shots, got in the cab, went off to the next one. But yeah, so Philadelphia was really sketchy for sure.
How much did it cost you for the taxi?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. I think it was about $35 in the end.
Oh, I thought it was
But
going
I
to be
gave
like
him a
100.
bit of a no, 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 because I was really quick.
Mhm.
I was just like quickly nip out, get the shots, boom, 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 onto the next one. And the way I've done it was I went to the furthest area first and then worked my way in back towards the city. So yeah, I kind of like structured it a bit better. So yeah, I was in and out. And then on the way past, we actually went via the bar, the original bar that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Oh,
is
Paddy's
based
Pub.
on. Aye. So I've got that one. And again, that was just in the car. I didn't even need to get out for that one. We just drove past it. Because none of the interior is like shot or anything like that. It's all LA as well. It's Always Sunny in Philly. That's all out LA way.
Mhm.
So, so yeah, I didn't need to go in the bar. So I just took a photo of outside. And then eventually I got them to stop at a location that I'm going to post pretty soon, um, which was the basketball court for Fresh Prince of Bel Air intro.
Nice.
And then I had loads and loads of time there, and there was nobody on the court, so I could like properly sit, match things up,
Mhm.
look at the intro on the YouTube, see where there's the bench in the background of the bench. There's like a church, all that stuff. I could
Aye.
proper sit there and just like line things up. So, say I'm needing to drop that one at some point as soon as I figure out how to edit stuff, which someone hopefully would show me, right, Logan?
No.
Show me how to edit these things.
Pay me for it and I'll do it. Get on now. I'll show you. I will eventually show you. There was one. Did you know actually get Candyman? I feel like that's a thing you have. I feel like you got the Candyman locations, no?
No, no, because that's I'm sure that's Chicago, isn't it? Candyman.
Aye, but I feel like I seen it on your page, or it might have been
Nah, I think
someone else.
I, I did Nightmare on Elm Street. I got that one. But no, not Candyman, because that is all Chicago.
What about Halloween?
Oh, yeah, that one hurts. So, not sure I'm ready to talk about this yet. I might start greeting. So, I've got a pal in an area called Pasadena in LA. My man Jeff, and when I was in LA, he was like, "Oh, come through, and I'll show you around Pasadena." I was like, "All right, cool." And he goes, "Doc Brown's house from Back to the Future. We'll go there." I was like, "Magic." So I went over and we drove about. He showed me that place, and then there's like a famous stadium out that way as well. So I went and seen that, hung out with him a little bit, and then he dropped me off. And I thought I'll get the train back to the city. Get the train back to the city, and again, like I'm sort of doing like little research and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, where's the Halloween locations? Oh, Pasadena. I was like, oh, for
Oh
God's sake.
mate,
So like the Michael Myers house is in Pasadena. There's like tons of like the street where Laurie's like the photo where she's holding the pumpkin and she's sat on that stoop.
is that the bit where she's getting
Um,
stalked for the hedges?
aye,
Aye.
aye, the hedges, all that stuff's in Pasadena.
Oh mate,
And I was like, no way. That's
I would,
livid.
I would have cried. I'd be like, oh man.
That one still hurts, man. And then the street that the house from Nightmare on Elm Street's on.
Mhm.
Um, in fact, it was the two houses. So you've got Nancy's house, and then across the road was the one that Johnny Depp is in.
Aye.
He's staying in. So we had the two houses, and then a little bit further down was the house from the end of Halloween. So where Donald Pleasance shoots Michael, and then that whole thing,
Mhm.
the end sequence. So I was looking at the address, and I was using Google Maps at the time. So Google was pointing me at this house, and I was like, Google's saying this is the house, but it doesn't even look like it. The house next door looks more like it than this one does. But I thought, you know what? It's like over like 40 years old, so it's changed a lot probably.
Mhm.
So I took a photo of the house and then came back again. I'm trying to like match it up and stuff. And then I looked at what other people had posted, and guess what? It was the house next door. I was like, you're kidding me.
I,
So
I would
I
have
didn't
just
even
went
get
for it.
that house. I know I should have just taken a photo. But I was like, well, Google's saying this is the house, so
Mhm.
I'll just take a photo of that. And then I think it actually appears in Halloween 2. You actually do see that house, but the angle I took it at, it doesn't quite match up.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's another one I need to go back and do all the Halloween locations properly. But yeah, that one stings, man.
Oh man.
How I could mess that up so badly. And then also, Carpenter used a lot of things in Pasadena. So I don't know if you heard of the film Christine.
So I know his first. Oh, that's the one with the motor, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Aye.
it's another Stephen King. It's a Stephen King one.
Mhm.
So all the stuff from Christine was shot in Pasadena as well.
Wow, man.
So I was like, right, I need to make a trip out that way again.
Aye.
But like, I'll be better with it because I mean, normally my holidays are a mix of kind of going to see locations, but as well as like tourist stuff, as
Mhm.
well as non-tourist stuff, like going to places to eat and check out other things. So I can't just go and do locations all day long because I would be. I mean, I could,
But
but it's
you're
still pretty
exhausted.
much. Yeah, you're not getting a full flavor of of the whole city when you
Mhm.
do that. So yeah, I could just make it all about that. Otherwise, yeah, I would have just happily gone back to on that same trip for some of these places. But
Aye.
right, well, you got to just win some, lose some. But now that I know a bit better, I definitely when I do go somewhere, I try and make a proper like timeline of how I can get stuff and pinpoint things on Google Maps. Um, so last time I went to New York, I think I kind of perfected it a bit better. All the locations I wanted, I like saved them as locations on Google Maps, and then I would hit a certain area each day
Mhm.
and just concentrate on that area and just nail everything there. And then another day I'll do another area and then just try and cover it that way so that I'm not missing too much.
Aye.
And so that's one of the tricks
The one, the
of
one,
trying to get.
the one that makes me jealous on you had done was the cafe from When Harry Met Sally.
Aye, yeah, yeah. Although the thing is, like when I went there, I genuinely went for the food. I was like, because the food in there is amazing. So that was a doubler actually that worked out quite nicely. And it's not just Harry Met Sally actually. Donnie Brasco, they shot a scene from Donnie Brasco in there. It's when he goes to he's undercover,
Aye,
but
he
he
did.
has to
Aye.
go and catch up. He has to go and catch up with his kind of FBI colleagues,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's where they meet up in Cats. So, oh, that place is amazing. That's like every New York trip. I've got to go there, get my pastrami sandwich.
Make me upset now. Because did they not have like a sign that says this is where like they sat?
Aye, aye, they've got a sign above the table. So that's another one. It's like good luck getting that table because like every time I've been, there's always someone sat there. Although it is open, I think it's open 24 hours. So I'm sure if you go like 2, 3 in the morning on a Monday night,
Aye.
you might you might be all right. I mean,
That's what I would do. I would do a trip to New York for like a couple of days and just wait out there so I can get that seat.
let's go together.
Aye.
You can be Sally, I'll be Harry.
I mean, I've got the similar jumpers, Billy Crystal. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I
Uh,
bet you can hit the high notes as well, like Sally does. I've heard you.
we'll keep that for the Patreon if we even get a
Yeah,
Patreon.
right, okay.
Um,
Special one. Did you not see that they went back there and filmed there recently for like a Hellman's advert or something?
was this not for the Super Bowl?
I was shown during the Super Bowl, but it's for Hellman's, eh?
Aye, I seen something about that, and I was like, "Is
Aye.
this like I completely went by it on Instagram. And I was like, oh, that's cool AI, and then I realized it was not AI.
Yeah. No, they were actually in there. But obviously the icing on the cake was like old Sydney Sweeney in the at the end, going, I'll have what she's having. Like, imagine going for your cat's daily that day and you like see Meg Ryan and Sydney Sweeney in
Aye,
the that
crazy.
jobbing. That was a good one.
Well, I was watching that White Lotus, because we were talking before doing this episode. Uh,
Uh-huh.
season two, they were doing there's this little guy and he's like, oh, I want to do some film locations, and it was the scene where Pacino and his missus and the motor blows up in Sicily.
Oh, yeah.
So they go that in the show, and I was like, oh my god! Although this is in the TV show, them doing a film location, I was like, oh my god, it still looks the same. And he's gone through it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Well, because I think a lot of that is in quite an old town, so a lot of it's still like maintained.
Aye,
There's a there's a cafe as well. I'm sure where Michael sat at, and that cafe is totally like kept it as it was.
right.
We sat outside the cafe, and I think they've even I can't mind. I think they've even got the chair that he sat on inside, so you can have a look. Oh, but Pacino sat on this
Oh
chair.
my god.
But I quite like it when a location knows that it's famous for being that location and they
Mm.
kind of embrace it. You know what I mean?
Like Naveed Soap and Still Game, they can embrace that a bit.
How? I mean, I've
The
seen it, but I didn't.
the outside they have like pictures of like Greg Hempel and Gregor Fisher. Is it Gregor? No,
Right,
no.
right.
Gregor Fisher's Rabsy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ramsey. Aye, that's Ramsey.
A mix of my Scottish TV shows up. Greg Hempel and Ford Kieran. They have
Yeah,
pictures
yeah.
of them outside the window and that. because keep
Uh,
no advertising it, but there's pictures.
yeah, yeah. And then I think they've got, if I remember correctly from when I went, they had some sort of banter about, like, although the shop name's different,
Aye,
but there was some reference to Navid's on that. I need to look back at the photos, but
I think so. Aye,
um, yeah, so some of the places are great for that. I'm trying to think where's, so there's a um in Goodfellas, there's a diner that they're kind of standing outside.
is that the one with the phone booth?
And no, no, not that one. Another diner. And this is where truckers go in, and then they steal the guy's truck, and then the trucker's like, "Oh, have you got a phone? Someone's just stole my truck."
Aye,
It's that diner, but it's the shot that they have that Scorsese does, where you see like the neon of the diner,
mhm.
and then like you've got Pacino and Pesci standing there. It's a really cool shot. So it was that diner went to, and then as you go into the entrance, they've got like loads of photos from them being on set, like not on set, but them
Aye.
filming. And then there's like a couple of memorabilia bits in there. So
Oh, nice.
that's right at the entrance. It's quite cool.
Because the Lauriston kind of did that when we were there.
But yeah, yeah, they had loads of stuff of who's been there. Eh?
Because they do like a
But was
lot
there
of.
not there was a random film that was in there, and we were like, oh, like I didn't. It was not a Ewan McGregor film, Young Adam, wasn't it?
Aye, I think that was it. Aye,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I've never seen, but
because aye they have like a lot of celebrities. Because mind the barman said aye Macy Williams was in here like last week. Like it was just another
aye,
punter.
just another punter. Aye, aye.
And
Yeah, no, some of it's quite cool when they know that like this is what we're famous for. So
aye,
let's just like embrace it.
because they've always got like pictures on the wall. Like they had obviously like still Gamecast there. They had is it Shane for the Pogues?
Pogues, aye, aye, that's right. He was in there as well.
Aye. So like there's so much of that place. You're like, there's no way.
Aye, yeah, especially you see from the outside, you're like, but it's actually all right inside. I quite liked it.
Aye, I would go again. Like honestly.
Aye, yeah, I quite like those kind of like places there. I'm trying to think where else is good for just totally embracing it. Um, well, actually, the where Laurie in Halloween stood on the porch with the pumpkin. Um, I've read like stories about that where folk that go and see the house, the owners that are there, they've got a fake pumpkin
Right.
like just outside the house. They're like, look, if you're here to have a photo, like use this as a prop,
Aye.
so you can actually just pick it up and sit there and like get your photo with it, and they don't mind,
And,
which I think is quite cool.
well, funnily enough, you know the opposite, the story about the Walter White's house.
Aye, yeah, yeah, that woman totally put a fence up, and then she's raging at everyone, chucking pizzas and
Aye.
taking photos, and yeah, yeah, there's video. Is there not videos of her as well?
Aye, there's
Absolutely losing a rag at folk.
some of the YouTubers that I watched, they done videos with her, and like she absolutely like slags them off, swears at them, gives them dogs
Aye.
abuse, and then at the end of the video, like she's kind of pals with them, and it's a bit weird. It's like, oh, why are you friendly with like these YouTubers and that? But I think she's trying to
Also,
sell the house.
oh, right, right. So she doesn't want to be there anymore.
Aye, but to
Right.
me that technically you should be bringing in a lot of money with that. Would you not think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you'd say, well, like if you want to take a photo, put in a donation. I mean, or something. If you wanted to, but buying a famous house, you're asking for it. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. Well,
But at the same time, that one's a bit different as well because they're chucking pizzas and stuff. That's not nice. One thing I always do is I try and be respectful. So a lot of times I'll just ask folk if I can take a photo, you know, what I mean, rather than just turning up and then just snapping away. Like when we were in that place for Succession, mind we asked the boy, I was like, this is I'm trying to do a bit of this. Is that cool? And he was like, aye, cool. And then he was the one that took the photo of us
aye.
at the thing. So yeah, you've always just got to be a bit polite and respectful that way. But yeah, what those guys are doing is a bit grim, like
Hmm.
chucking pizzas on a roof and stuff. That there's no need for that.
Well, I was going to say, speaking, because although me and you have done some locations, and I think you've done them with Sook, is there anyone that is a party, like, who else does the film locations? Have you ever done them with people, like a collab and that?
Yeah. So filming locations with a bad guy. He's actually the only one I've done like who's another location guy that's got a page. Go check him out as well at filming locations with a bad guy. Um, he's well Chris Bungard basically, and you know him from the fighting scene,
Who,
whereas
me?
I know him more for well, I mean, as in you knew of him from the fighting scene.
I don't like fighting.
That's true. You're a pacifist. You mean you're from Glasgow? It's in your blood.
It's true, to be fair.
Aye. So I yeah met up with Chris one time in Glasgow. I'd messaged him. We sort of chatted a little bit over Instagram, and yeah, he was nice enough and took me around loads and loads of places around Glasgow, and we just nailed so many different locations and just hung out and chatted. So Chris is a good guy, but he's the only collab I've done. But again, I've released it as a story, just like the shot that we did in from Trainspotting. What's the cafe called? The one
Oh,
where Spud and Renton share a
share a
milkshake.
milkshake? I have no idea.
Yeah. I forget the name of it, but I shared that one because he was fighting, and I was like, "I good luck with your fight," and I posted that photo. We're not sharing the milkshake. We just had the milkshake in the middle. We'd only just met.
That would be a wee bit weirder, saying, "Oh, good luck in your fight," and it's like used to fucking with a milkshake.
Sharing a milkshake. But that was so we got a few that day, and yeah, we hung out and just like that was actually really cool because um, I've not really like met any others in person that they're into it,
Hmm.
so it's actually quite nice getting their ideas and all that stuff from them. So that was good. So we're needing to do some more though, Chris and I. So we've got some planned, but at some point we'll try and get to it. But he's a busy guy,
Yeah,
yeah. So hopefully get that one in soon. Well, I was gonna say though, I've got guys in the States that I chat to quite a bit, um, different location hunter guys, and I'm kind of sort of part of a club, which is created by a guy called Danny O'Connor, who's from House of Pain,
right.
the rap band. So he was one of the early people that I saw. This was like early days of Facebook. I started following him because I'm into hip hop as well. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh no, I didn't.
And I started following him, and I remember one time he was going around LA, and he found where they did the cover of one of the NWA albums. There's an early NWA album called NWA and the Posse. It actually came out before Straight Outta Compton, and the photo is all of them standing outside this kind of random block. And he found the exact place that was at. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then he started doing more and more location type stuff. I was like, that's amazing. He's a great rapper and he's doing this as well, which is what I'm into. Anyway, he sort of formed this group called Delta Exploration Bravo Team, um, Urban Exploration. I can't even remember the full title. But anyway, it's people who just go along and do locations, and then they post it in the group,
Hmm.
and then you've got to post the address or where it is, and you know what movie reference it is, and but you do it how you do it, but you've got to show like where it's all from and stuff. So that was a great thing to be a part of because I started seeing other folk and places that other folk were going. You're like, oh, I forgot about this film, or I forgot about that film. I didn't realize that location still exists. So sometimes, again, it's like a pool of information I can use Again, if I'm like somewhere and go, oh, I wonder if there's a location, I'll type in the area I'm in into the search within the group, and it'll come up with all these different places.
Mm.
So anyway, that's a good group to be a part of because like you see a lot of people and places they're finding. So chat to a few of the guys on that on socials as well. Um, and one thing is that the community of folk within the location thing, they're all really sound. Like a, there's not too many folk that are like they've got a bit of an ego, like, oh no,
Aye.
only I'm doing this, like I'm not gonna show you or tell you anything. Like most people seem pretty open.
Aye.
So
I mean, that's
so
good
it's good.
because like I feel like any like hobby or like anything you're into, I feel like every time you're gonna have someone that's like I don't want to say like toxic in a way, but like they kind
Yeah.
of try and dismiss your question in a way.
Aye, like I'm better than you type thing, yeah.
Aye.
And it's like, nah, it's not about that. We're both into the same thing. So how can we not just enjoy it together? Is it not more fun to like share it with someone that's also into it?
Hmm.
I certainly think so. I'm sure there's one or two people out there that are a bit like not quite on the same page, like, but most of the people I've come across have been brand new.
Is there any advice you want to give out for if people want to start their own film location page?
Um, yeah, be organized about it if you want to really get into it. I would say. I think um I mean, start off low key if you want, and it's as easy as going, "What's my favorite film?" Everyone has a favorite film or a TV show, like everyone. So give me an example of a film or TV show that you love.
The Warriors.
Warriors. There you go. So you're thinking, "I love this film." Like, what parts of the or what scenes in the movie are you like, "Oh God, this is a great scene." Opening scene,
Aye.
right? So again, that's Coney Island. I've done that location as well. So yeah, you think, right? I know what it looks like in the film. What's it looking like now? So go into Google, use Google Images, or even just look at what other people have already got. Unfortunately, back in the day, I didn't have that. I didn't have mobile phones. I didn't have like Google. I used to just have to use maps and like try and find places old school way. So yeah,
Aye.
I've really like had to try to up my game, but it's so much easier now. And then make sure that when you before you go into the location, you've got screenshots of the angle you want, or loads of in fact, I say take as many screenshots as possible because if the place looks nothing like what it did in the movie, you've then got to use buildings and structures or anything you can to try and marry things up. So, like for example, we did the Sopranos locations, and Satrials and Sopranos. That was not an actual place. They just built that for the TV show. As soon as the TV show finished, I think 2, 3 months later, that whole place was tore down. It's now a car park. So when you go by, you're like, well, what am I going to marry up? It's just a blank space.
Hmm.
So then looking at the episodes, I was like, right, I could see the building next to it, and it's got a funny kind of bit like brickwork that's onto the roof. I was like, boom, I can match up with that. So that's what I did, match up with that. So yeah, that's the way to do it. I would say use as much information as you can, and if you can, like see what it looks like before you get there, it will help you. But when you actually do get there, because you know exactly what you're trying to line up, how you're going to take your shots, and compare it. I find like finding it is the best part. Coming back to then edit it and upload it on Instagram, that's the bit that's the pain in the hoop. I hate doing that part. So,
I mean, it's the easiest part to me.
well, it would be if you taught me how to do these things. I prefer than going away and just seeing the location. Like I'm no the. I think that's why I post like every now and again because it's like
Then
your
fun.
maximum effort. effort to try and then put it together in a post, and especially because Instagram can be a bit clunky with its format. So then I'm just like, I'll go at it for a bit, and if it doesn't work, I'm like a total child there. I like chuck my phone away and go, right, that's it. I'm not posting it in for another month. And then it turns out 6 months and I'm still not posting it in.
Then it gets to a year and you're like,
But
fuck this.
the other thing is as well, like I don't want to actually just like post every single thing right away, and constantly post, because then I think folk would just get bored of it, to a degree. So I try and like post every now and again, so that it's a nice surprise when you say, "Oh, aye, it's been a while, not seen anything. Oh, what's he got now?"
I get that. Because some of the stuff you
Right.
do get are like are top tier stuff. Like some of the ones I'm like, oh, how did they get this one? Like the I wanted to say the Doc Brown one you mentioned. I was like, that's cool.
Which one?
The Doc Brown's house.
Aye, yeah. I'll tell you another one actually. It was quite a good one. Going back to when you talk about certain locations, we went to the end scene in Sopranos. You've got the restaurant that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it, aye? Sopranos.
I've not got that part, but I know what exact part you're talking about.
Right. Aye. So they're in a restaurant for the final scene, and Tony sat in this booth, and he's like watching everyone that's coming in and out. So my pal Fee that lives out there, when she knew I was coming over to Jersey, she's like, right, we'll just take you to all the different Soprano places, right? And we'll get lunch in that place. I was like, magic. So we walk into this. It's called Horton's Ice Cream Parlor.
Mm-hmm.
Walk in, and I kid you not, I had not said a single word, so you couldn't tell that I had an accent. But three of us walked in. They're regulars, or they're regular enough in there
Mm-hmm.
because they live in that area. So they go from time to time. They walk in, I'm behind them, and I'm sort of just looking at the place like, oh, aye, this is the counter that you see in this shot and that shot. I literally have not said a word, and this guy comes out from the kitchen. He went, "You want to go to that table on the left? That's where the booth is." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "He's pretty much like, I know where you want to sit. That's where you want to go and sit." I was like, "Amazing!" He just knew straight away.
Imagine he was
And
like,
then we
no,
sat.
you can't sit there.
I know. I'd be like, "Oh, a bit of a bribe." But we sat on that table, and it was totally amazing sitting there going, like this such an iconic like TV moment, and we're sat on the exact same booth. Now again, this is another thing where I'm talking about getting lucky after the date sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we did those shots. I got all the shots I needed, hung out, everything in there, and then I found out last year that the place decided to have a refurb.
Oh,
So
really?
it still looks the same, but those original booths, like the original chairs and all that, they decided to revamp them. So they took out the booth and then put it in for an auction to charity. So, the place looks nice now,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to be sitting on that original
Aye, the
like
original
booth
seat. Aye.
yeah, the original seat. So now that people are going and going, oh yeah, I'm in the booth that Tony was in. I was like, is it though? Is it though?
Do you know how much that got auctioned off it?
No idea. Nah, I never really looked it up.
I
But
think it'd be crazy amount.
that place was cool. Like, and I like the fact that they all kind of, what I mean, embrace it.
Aye.
Whereas then there's certain places they don't even know that they're a film location. Like when we were in that boozer, the train spotting thing, the lassie was like, "No, no, it can't be this one." Like she had no idea. So, I love Beverly Hills Cop. So when I was in LA, I was like, I've got to get the hotel from that film. Where Eddie Murphy walks in and he goes up to the reception.
Mm-hmm.
Now that used to be the main entrance, but the main entrance is now on the other side. So I walk in, and in fact, the main reception. This is another one. The main reception when you walk in is the room that was the hotel, the dining room in Ghostbusters.
Oh, what? Seriously?
Aye, aye. So that was. So that is the main reception, no, which was the dining hall, and again, I took a photo of all that as well because the ceiling matches and stuff.
Hmm.
So so anyway, I found the bit that Eddie Murphy goes into, right, and there's nobody there. It was totally empty, and I start taking my photos of like the room, and it's got like a specific like stairwell like that going from two sides with the elevator in the background.
Hmm.
I'm trying to line stuff up from the film, and the security sort of or the doorman kind of comes in, and he was maybe about 5 years younger than me or something, and he's like, "What are you doing? Like taking photos of an empty room?" I was like, "Oh, this was in Beverly Hills Cop." He's like, "Was it?" I was like, "Aye." He goes, "Oh, that's one of my favorite films." I was like,
Can't be
"How do
that
you
famous.
not know? Like, you actually are working in that bit." And he's like, "Oh, I never even thought about that." So then I get chatting to him, and then I was like, "Do you mind taking a photo of me pretending like I'm talking to the receptionist?" He's like, "Aye, aye, totally." And then he got in amongst it. I was
Oh,
like, "How do you not know?" So
um,
I sometimes that's pretty funny as well.
oh man, yeah, honestly,
And like I said, it's not especially explaining to folks sometimes, you know what I mean? Because they're all kind of look at you funny.
hmm.
Like I did Goodfellas, the house from Goodfellas. When he's a kid
Oh, aye, the
and
flat kind
when
thing.
he's aye, aye,
Aye.
when he's a kid, he turns up on the front door and the mom's like, "You look like a gangster." So that house and the the taxi stand, which is across the road, I was doing that location. There's nobody on the street, so there's nobody to ask, or I didn't want to chap on anyone's door.
Hmm.
So I just took a couple of photos, walked around, and then I started to walk down the hill, and this car pulls up like next to me. He's like, "My friend, why are you taking photos?" And it was like this proper like Italian American
Oh,
guy, and I thought, "Oh no, here we go." So I kind of like I said to him, explained to him what I do, and I was like, "Oh, like one of my favorite films, Goodfellas, and I'm just like taking photos." He's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Aye." He goes, "Well, that's my house," and it was like I've always lived in that house, and it was like my parents' house originally, and we were still living there when they filmed it. And then he started telling me stories about the house, and I was like, "All right, that's pretty cool." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, that's our kitchen." And he goes, "Because it was my parents' house, everything's still left as is."
right.
I was like, "You're kidding?" I was like, "Any chance of getting photos?" He's like, "No, I've got to head to work," because he's still in his motor.
Aye.
He's like, "I've got to head to work, otherwise I would totally take you along." I was like, "Oh man!" So like next time I go back, I'm definitely gonna like chap on his door, like,
Aye.
"Mate, I don't know if you remember, but."
He's like, what? You came back? Um,
Aye, because getting the outside would be amazing, but I don't think anyone like
is
has
ever
got the
going.
interior. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
well,
would be something pretty special.
that would die. I was going to
Because yeah,
say,
a lot of times, so many of the locations have already been done by so many folk.
hmm,
So like, if you can like get something that's not actually been done, that's amazing. I've actually got another one that I know I've got access to that nobody's got or is even going to get access to, but I haven't taken the photo yet.
I
I
mean,
need to get my permission.
do you know what? Wait
I
till
need
you
to
get
get
the
my.
photo. I don't want you to jinx yourself here.
Oh, did I?
No, I'm saying that you don't want to jinx yourself. Like,
All right, no, no, no. Like I know I'll get it, and I know nobody else is gonna get it,
right.
because it was in my old workplace.
Oh, right, right. That's fine
Mm.
then.
I still ken folk that are there, so I just need to arrange a date pretty soon and just get in there and get that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's part of the old something that I'm trying to do a complete reel of. So there's a couple of films that I've taken loads of locations of, but I'm waiting to get every single thing I can possibly get.
Aye.
And then I want to do a nice reel of all the locations
Nice.
of that one film as a kind of a full reel.
Are you going to keep the secret for the what film it is, or?
Well, one of them I already said is Train Spotting.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, the other one I'm not going to reveal.
Fair enough. I was going to say we're going to wrap up here. Do you want to do any wee shout outs?
Obviously, shout out to yourselves. Yeah, spoiler alert, guys. Long time listener, first time caller. And then I want to shout out to All Things 80s with Garrett. He's a locations guy on my good friend of mine via Instagram. We've not met in person, but we parlay loads back and forth. Check out his page. He's based out in North Carolina, and he's done some amazing locations, and he's a total movie buff. So he's a good guy. Give him a follow. There's guys called All Things Los Angeles. You've got filming locations with a bad guy, aka my boy Chris Bungard. Also Sin City, that's CIN_city, their new podcast. Folk gotta check that out. It's brilliant. Absolutely love it. And your good self, Logan, obviously.
What
Also
can I say?
Tupac and Biggie. Tupac and Biggie, give them a shout out too.
That's for us. That is all, folks, and we'll see you in the next episode.